Here is the Love's Labor's Lost Garden.
I know, Will Shakespeare, that you included quite a number of plants in Love's Labor's Lost.
Yes, indeed. Roses, violets, lilies, columbines, daisies, cuckoobuds, and lady smocks, grass, corn, oats, and peas, lemon, palm water crabs, that is apples, you know, mint and wormwood, plantain and cockles, thorns, osiers, elder, oaks, and sycamores, cedar and ebony, sugar and ginger, and nutmeg and cloves.
Your company performed Love's Labor's Lost for Queen Elizabeth herself at Christmas in 1597.
It was quite a new play then. Its story does not come from an earlier work. It begins with us. The form in which we played it for Her Highness was not its first form. We played it at Blackfriars and the Globe, and took occasion to better it as we went.
At the commencement of the play, young King Ferdinand of Navarre has persuaded 3 friends, Berune, Longueville, and Dumaine, to join him in a vow to devote themselves solely to study for 3 years, totally renouncing the company of women.
At first, Berune calls in question the wisdom of such a vow. He prefers to undertake the years of study without such severe constraint. Longueville declares that such loose conditions defeat the purpose. He weeds the corn and still lets grow the weeding. Berune retorts that young men should not remove themselves from the natural business of their time of life. At Christmas I no more desire a rose than wish a snow in May's newfangled shows, but like of each thing that in season grows. But when the king offers to send him away, Berune undertakes the vow with the rest of them.
In that same scene, there is mention of the king's curious knotted garden.
Yes, the king's decree extends to all men at the court of Navarre. Don Adriano de Armado, a Spanish soldier of ridiculous eloquence, accuses the simple-tongued peasant Custard of consorting in that garden with Jaconetta, a wench whom Armado himself desires. Custard's simple tongue speaks home truths. Such is the simplicity of man, he says, to hearken after flesh.
So Costard has already broken the decree not to associate with women. Now I think of it, so has Armado. He keeps custody of Jaconetta, promising the king to produce her whenever she may come to trial. Oh, and then the Princess of France arrives as ambassador for her royal father, bringing her ladies, Rosaline, Maria, and Catherine. The king and his 3 companions immediately fall in love, the king with the princess, and the other men each with one of the three ladies.
Each struggles at first to conceal the failure of his vow, but cannot forbear to send his lady a love letter. By these letters they are discovered, and soon they all know that all are forsworn.
Even Baroon?
Aye. The king mocks him, saying, "By heaven, thy love is as black as ebony." But Baroon is not ashamed and replies, "Is ebony like her? A wood divine, a wife of such wood were felicity." Dumaine likewise compares his lady to a tree, saying, "She is as upright as the cedar." Neither the cedar nor the ebony grew in England in my time, but we knew of them. Then, as now, ebony, a name used for the wood of several different trees, was the emblem of darkness. The cedar we learned of from Holy Writ, wherein we find that they are unsurpassed in beauty and majesty.
And do those letters persuade the ladies to return their love?
Hardly. The letters were poorly written. The young men are in love with falling in love, just as they were in love with the idea of dedication to study. In the schoolmaster Holofernes, they see the fruits of excess of study. He thinks it an admirable virtue to prolong the simplest sentence, that is, "Dear is breeding," to a scholarly exposition, calling everything by 3 or 4 different names at once. "The deer was, you know, sanguis, in blood, ripe as poem water, who now hangeth like a jewel in the ear of Calo, the sky, the welkin, the heaven, and anon falleth like a crab on the face of Terra, the soil, the land, the earth."
Poem water?
In my time, both poem and crab were words meaning apple. Holofernes compares the fall of the deer to the fall of an apple, seen first against the sky as it hangs in the tree, and then on the ground.
So the king and his companions are no longer in love with study, as Holofernes is, but is it any better to be in love with falling in love?
They pass from playing at love of study, with its pretense of forswearing love, to playing at love, but at length they grow beyond that too, and each openly courts the lady of his heart. As they move past pretense, they move toward what might be love truly.
And then the ladies welcome their love?
Nay, the air is full of quick and smarting jests, not sighs or loving glances. Our motto, Holofernes, Costard, and others present a pageant wherein Armado plays Hector, and the young men return to the language of the plants to make their chests with his eloquence. He begins, "The army potent Mars of lances and almighty gave Hector a gift,"
"A gilt nutmeg."
cries Dumaine.
"A lemon."
Says Baroon.
"Stuck with cloves."
Adds Longueville. "Peace," Armado demands, and then begins again. But they interrupt him a flash. "The armipotent Mars of lances the Almighty gave Hector a gift, the heir of Ilion, a man so breathed that certain he would fight a yea from morn till night out of his pavilion. I am that flower."
"Oh, that mint, that columbine."
At the height of this merriment, word arrives that the King of France has died. The princess and her ladies must go home immediately. Each lover earnestly and hastily presses his suit as they prepare to go. The ladies do not easily believe the lover's vow of men so recently forsworn, but each grants her suitor a task to perform. If the lover fulfills his task, he has the lady's leave to come to her again after the year of mourning for the dead king.
And it ends there. Love's Labour's Lost is a comedy, but it doesn't end in the marriages that end most comedies.
True, it ends in a song. When daisies pied and violets blew, and ladies' smock all silver white, the cuckoo buds of yellow hue do paint the meadows with delight. The cuckoo then on every tree mocks married men. And they return to the idea that there are seasons of life as in the year, each filled with what is proper to it.
That picture of spring isn't entirely pleasant.
Nor is the picture of winter, which follows, entirely unpleasant. When icicles hung by the wall, and milk comes frozen home and pale, when blood is nipped and ways befall, roasted crabs hiss in the bowl, when nightly sings the staring owl, to wit to woo a merry note.
So there is mockery in the freshness of spring, and wassails and merriment in the painful cold of winter. It feels distant from the joyous weddings at the end of other comedies.
Perhaps the nuptials will yet come to pass, if the young men come through their trials victorious. That might be a matter of a play called Love's Labour's Won.